On today's episode of the Cryptoverse, we're going to look at the movers and shakers of the day. We're going to get an update on the Bitcoin all-time high, which happened twice or three times yesterday. We're going to get an update on the Byzantium hard fork on Ethereum. There may be a potential snag there. We'll have a look at that. We have miners officially withdrawing their signaling from the SegWit to X proposal. There's a letter here from the Seoul Bitcoin Meetup group, which is an open letter to the community. If you would like to play with the Lightning Network, that is now possible due to a new release of a desktop app. And would you believe it, Equifax has been hacked again, and their website has been replaced, well, it has been replaced with a fake flash update. So, all of that coming up on today's episode of the Cryptoverse, so stay tuned for that. Hi there guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. I'm your host, Chris Coney. Let's get into the movers and shakers of the day, courtesy of coinmarketcap.com. So the biggest story of the day is Bitcoin with a 12.59% gain. That's actually about right now. We'll look at the chart in a second. But after $4 billion of Bitcoin has been traded, it's left Bitcoin right now on the charts actually at $5,689 with a high today of 5,920. So it almost hit 6,000. Also we have LiteCoin on a bit of a move, 11% up. BitConnect on 11.8% move upwards. Ethereum is not doing too bad today, 6.7% up on the day. We'll take a look at the charts in a sec. We have this Cardano smart contract platform up 21.69% today. And if you look at the Cardano website, they're talking about like their key features. The blockchain platform evolved out of scientific philosophy. Well, initially you might be like, oh, that sounds good. Well, I think Bitcoin was a blockchain, evolved out of a scientific philosophy, was it not? Anyway, so the other notable point here is they say this is the first provably secure proof of stake algorithm renewed by academics. Kind of interesting. And then a wallet able to run decentralized applications on the blockchain. So their website has been upgraded significantly since the last time I looked at it. So if you're interested in Cardano, which is now one of the top 20 most capitalized coins, check it out. Moving on from there, we just have one crazy coin today. It's Mona coin again. 65% gain on the day. I'm going to do that joke again. I wouldn't be a Mona if I'd had a 65% gain in a day. And yesterday it was 165%, wasn't it? So big moves for Mona coin. Let's move on to the charts, shall we? Looking at Bitcoin. Now I'm going to have to redraw my Fibonacci retracement lines because the Fib lines were previously the all-time high of 4,967. So I'm going to take this top and move it to the top of today's high, which was about 5,900 and what did I say it was? 20. So 5,920. Let me just type it in because it's better that way. 5,920. I want to do this kind of on the show so you can see how it goes, right? Always remember to lock your indicators to make sure that when you reload the chart, they reappear. Or that you don't drag them around, rather. And the upload button is what I'm talking about to save that. So that'll now redraw the retracement lines if there's a pullback to 5,000 or if there's a pullback to a previous level such as, well, around about 4,953 by the looks of things, coincides with the previous high. So that's kind of interesting. I'm expecting a pullback. It's overextended from the moving averages. And if it's going to come back down, it will be a $5,000 test, or it may go on to 6,000. Who knows? So I could take a quick look at Ethereum here because I said it was on a bit of a move. It's broken $320, which was a Fibonacci retracement line. And that's going to move it up in between a new range at the top, which is $352. So that will be the next stop for Ethereum. Now, speaking of Ethereum and its upcoming fork, you got the Byzantium hard fork, which is about 2 days and 22 hours away. Now, this is just an upgrade. It's not a chain split. We're not expecting a chain split purely because the community is in consensus with regards to these changes. So it's only when you have a large portion of the community that disagrees with the changes that creates the risk of a split. However, on CoinDesk, they have an article here about a potential delay to the Byzantium hard fork because one of the most popular Ethereum client softwares, Parity, has yet to release some solid software that's in line with the fork. So it says, at press time, the Parity client, maintained by UK-based Parity Technologies, and which supports roughly 25% of all Ethereum nodes, has yet to release software that includes the protocol changes needed for the shift. The delays come at a time when most other versions of the software have already published their releases ahead of Sunday or Monday's likely fork. It says Parity has released 2 Byzantium-ready releases in the past week. However, both were found to contain consensus bugs, meaning that Parity nodes would not been able to communicate with the remaining network, causing a blockchain split. So consensus bugs are where if the two chains or if everyone doesn't agree, you end up with one set of rules and another set of rules, and you have 2 sets or 2 versions of the blockchain, right? 2 different rules because everyone isn't in consensus. Now, according to Ether nodes, 17% of Parity clients are running faulty Byzantium software, while 80% have yet to upgrade at all. So if the release isn't ready on time, it could realize some very sticky complications down the line. So the advice to you, if you run an Ethereum node, is to make absolutely sure that you have the latest version of the software. Particularly if you use Parity, then keep a close eye out for releases in the next couple of days. So speaking of hard forks, let's move on to Bitcoin. You know, some Ethereum miners are now, I say officially, withdrawing from the New York agreement and the SegWit2x thing. I know there's been rumors about this, but until now, the mining pools are now withdrawing their signaling for SegWit2x. And you'll see that in the last week, there was 92.5% of mining power signaling for, yes, we support SegWit2x. But in the last 24 hours, that has dropped to 81.25%. Pretty significant drop. Now, right at the same time, Bitcoin's on a tear. And at the same time, we have 57,000 unconfirmed transaction in the Bitcoin mempool. If I move myself to the other side here, that means that there is 42 megabytes of unconfirmed transactions. Now that's spiked, no doubt, because of the tear in the Bitcoin price and people wanting to move funds in and out of exchanges and so on. But at the same time, SegWit2x is meant to be a scaling solution, so kind of interesting and ironic, I'd say. On the SegWit chart, we've just peaked above 10% of all Bitcoin transactions using SegWit. So that's kind of a 10% boost in the capacity of the Bitcoin network. If it were 100%, then we'd be putting through a lot more transactions. Like on CoinDance, when we look at the size of the blocks, you'll see that over time, the size of the blocks are increasing. So they're now allowed to be bigger than 1 megabyte. Because before, these ones that say like 1.1 megabytes, that would be an invalid block prior to SegWit. But now these are allowed because you can have a block weight of like 4 megabytes, or I think it's 4.3. So the blocks can get even bigger than 1.1 meg. Anyway, talking about scaling and greater capacity there. I found this article from the Seoul Bitcoin Meetup group. So this is a Korean Bitcoin Meetup group, and they basically signed an open letter to the Bitcoin community saying, please will everyone withdraw from the SegWit2x agreement. And they say the stated intention of the New York agreement was to reach a solution to keep the community together. And now there looks like to be a split. It's kind of not going to keep the community together at all, is it? And principally, they say the manner in which the agreement was made goes against the very ethos of Bitcoin. So they're talking about the fact that it was written in a closed-door meeting and the whole community was not involved or consulted. They said, indeed, Bitcoin's very value is derived from these attributes, like decentralization, openness, and so on. And if a select group of CEOs and investors, no matter how benevolent, can unilaterally make decisions about the consensus rules without public comment and force these changes upon the network, regardless of overall consensus, then Bitcoin will have lost the properties that make it valuable in the first place. Now, I would agree with that particular point. So the other thing they talk about is replay protection is being handled in an unacceptably and irresponsible manner. With less than 40 days to go until the projected fork date, the community is still left wondering what kind of replay protection, if any, will be available. So replay protection is like if a chain splits, just like with Bitcoin Cash, you have one private key which controls a wallet on both chains. So if you did a transaction on one chain, potentially someone could literally replay that same transaction on the other chain and spend the funds, without you intending to. So that's what we mean by replay protection. It's like if the road splits, you don't want things happening on one jumping over to the other unless you want them to. So that's the thing about replay protection. It's kind of important. It's critically important, in fact. So that's the fact that hasn't been dealt with sufficiently yet is a big concern. Also talking about Bitcoin scaling, moving on to the next article, the Lightning Network. Check this out. So this comes from the blog on lightning.engineering. So the Lightning team have announced their first Lightning desktop app, which is available for testing. Now, I've downloaded it, and unfortunately, I was hoping to demo it on the show today, but it's been running for an hour now, and I'm still only up to 148,000 blocks synced with my client. And the Lightning testnet Bitcoin testnet has like 1.2 million transactions. So yeah, there's just not enough people using it to feed me the blocks. So it's not my connection or anything. It's only coming in at like 1 megabit per second. So I'm just gonna have to wait till that syncs. However, once you've done that, this is what it looks like. It's a very nice looking client. What do they call it? The neutrino client. So once it's synced, and once the syncing to chain little flashing thing has disappeared on mine, then you'll be able to use it. You can actually go over to this site, which is a Bitcoin faucet, where you can get yourself some free Bitcoins on the testnet. You just stick your Lightning address in here, and they'll send you like 1 Bitcoin or whatever. I think I'm due to receive a single testnet Bitcoin once it's been synced. If I look at my transactions, it's not arrived yet because I haven't synced to the chain. So download the Lightning app on your computer, get some free testnet coins, and then you could use an app like this, which is in LN articles. Is it LN? Yeah. It is kind of like the Yours network. It's kind of like Steemit or Medium. It's got articles that you can buy with micropayments. So if I click Start Reading, there'll be a bunch of previews here. Let's try this one. It says this article is called "This is so much better than yours," and they're talking about the Yours network, which is this kind of thing. It's articles you can pay for with micropayments. The difference with the Yours network is they've moved over to Bitcoin Cash, having originally been built on to use Bitcoin, and then they moved to LiteCoin, and now they moved to Bitcoin Cash. That's just by the way. But this is just a test app where this article I'm looking at here says you can read it for 1 cent, which you can click on. It then gives you a Lightning payment request. You can copy that into the test app and then get the real experience of the Lightning network for yourself. So go through that same process. Download the app, get some free test coins, and then play around with this LN Articles website so you can see how this kind of thing will work in the real world. So all good stuff. And I've kind of bunched a whole load of scaling stuff in the same basket there. Some positive, some negative, some SegWit stuff, some Lightning stuff, some split stuff. So hopefully that's addled your brain a little bit. And the final story for today, would you believe this? The Equifax website has been hacked again. And this time, rather than stealing customer records like it did last time of 145 million US citizens, this time the website was compromised apparently, and it showed a fake update for the Flash plugin for the browser and installed some adware. You know, adware is where once you've got it installed on your computer, it's kind of like a virus, but rather than meddling with your computer's functionality, it displays adverts and offers, which earns the hacker money. So would you believe that? Right after they had the massive hack with all the records that were stolen, here's an example of an ad for an iPhone X that was coming up on the Equifax website, or after the adware was installed anyway. So that is kind of highly embarrassing for them. So it comes from Ars Technica, that, so you can check out that article if you like. They did some sort of testing to produce those screenshots showing the actual compromised website and the adware that came afterwards. And just one other mention, I'm speaking at Crypto Finance 2017 in Oslo, Norway. Yesterday I said I had 2 free tickets. Someone claimed them on Twitter. So the next thing I can offer you is I think I've got a 60% discount coupon that if you want that, I've got some, well, it's 60%, I think it is. So right here, you've got the 50% offer on the website itself, whereas I've got a 60% discount coupon. So if you'd like that, tweet at me, let me know, and then I'll give you the code in a private message. Alrighty? Okie dokie then. Thank you very much for joining me today, guys. If you liked this episode, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're new around here, get subscribed. And if you would like access to my very best material, such as my structured online courses that will teach you things like how to make and save money with Bitcoin, check out cryptoversity.com. Alright guys, that's all for today. I will be back on Monday with another episode of the Cryptoverse. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.